Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, of course, you can see my name of my channel is My Senior Moments. Uh, Most of my videos are about activities that I do in my retirement years, which includes riding a motorcycle as one of my major activities. And if you have followed my channel, you'll notice too that it doesn't always go well. I ended up in an accident in Mexico last year with some injuries, and realized that my Medicare and some other insurance policies weren't going to cover anything, none of my medical care at all in Mexico. And fortunately, I did have some travel insurance that I just added on haphazardly before I took the trip. So I'd like to explain to you a little bit of my experience with travel insurance, specifically medical travel insurance, as a senior citizen who's on Medicare in the United States, and what I experienced, my recommendations. I am not an expert in travel insurance, but I just wanted to give this short video just to give you a little bit of my own personal experience having to use medical travel insurance in Mexico. If you'd like to learn a little bit about that, how it worked, stick around for this video. Most senior citizens in the United States are covered under medical care under a federal program called Medicare. We've paid into Medicare through payroll deductions throughout our working life, and then when you turn 65, that becomes your primary medical insurance. However, most people don't realize that Medicare does not cover you outside the United States or the territories of the United States like Puerto Rico and Guam. So if you do travel outside of the U.S., you need to have supplemental insurance, travel insurance, something like that that's going to cover you. Now, I started buying travel insurance when I was in my 50s. I used to travel with a buddy of mine throughout all the countries in Central America, Mexico, and we would get travel insurance because we traveled independently. We weren't on a tour or with a group. We didn't have an itinerary, a schedule. We just had a backpack and would get in the country and figure out where we were going to go. So ours was a little more risky. We wanted the insurance in case something happened and we needed to get evacuated back to the United States. So I've been buying travel insurance for a while, but I haven't really thought much of it. Usually what I would do is when I booked the airline ticket, they come up with an option, would you like to buy travel insurance? And I'd click the button and say yes, without really even knowing what the insurance was. And I'd pay for it, thinking I was probably never going to use it. Well, last year I was in Mexico. As part of my trip, I was on an 11-day solo motorcycle ride. And the last day, my own fault, I hit a utility pole, sustained some pretty serious injuries to my arm, my knee, and my leg, required surgery, 4-day stay in the hospital, and extended my post-hospital stay for 3 weeks. Now, when the accident happened, I knew the Medicare was probably not going to be covered, but I tried to get them to use it. They wanted nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, they really wanted nothing to do with my U.S.-based credit cards either. And so I was fortunate that I had some friends who were in Mexico living there, and they had Mexican banks, and the hospital was willing to take a credit card if it was based on a Mexican bank. So I ended up paying my friends back. Everything else I paid in cash. So the whole stay, the whole hospital bills, surgeon's bills, anesthesia, and anesthetics, and the pharmacy, all that is all paid in cash. Now, when I got out of the hospital and was well enough, I contacted the travel insurance company, which was Allianz. Now, I'm not mentioning them as a recommendation. They just happened to be the one that was there when I clicked to buy my airline ticket. And so I initiated a claim with them. Now, I think most travel insurance companies like Allianz, they don't pay directly for your medical expenses. You're going to have to pay that cash or credit card, and then you submit all your receipts and proof of payment back to the travel insurance company, and they reimburse you later. So I think it's very difficult to find a travel insurance company that's going to pay direct like I'm used to paying with Medicare. I just give them a card and then they charge Medicare in the United States. Well, that's not how travel insurance works. So they fortunately, once I initiated the claim, Allianz said I could have as much time as I wanted. I think some insurance companies only give you a certain amount of days, 30 days, 60 days, something like that, to get all your medical expenses in. I was fortunate that I could take more time and wait till I got back to the United States. Now, one of the complicating factors for me is that all my receipts were in pesos. It was in Spanish. Some of them were handwritten notes, handwritten receipts, electronic ones, and they came from various sources. So it took me a long time when I got back home just to sort out what the receipts were, because I didn't even know. And then some of them were missing. I lost on the way home or during my post-surgical care. So I didn't have entirely all the receipts. Then I needed to get back to my friends who had used credit cards, and I needed to get receipts from them from the credit cards, which they had to go back to their bank to get. So it was a long process to get all these receipts and to upload them into Allianz's website, which I found to be kind of tedious to use. It'd be much easier to be with a human being one-on-one trying to figure this whole thing out. So it went back and forth for months, with Allianz. They didn't have all the material that they wanted. I kept providing them more. I ended up at the end with about a 20-page written document that told my whole trip, the whole travels. I think most insurance companies are not used to dealing with an independent traveler like myself. They're used to someone that's paid up front for their trip. They've gone to a resort, they're on a cruise, and so they know what that total expense is. Well, mine were on a day-to-day basis. I had no plans, no itinerary. I was just exploring the country. And I wasn't asked to be reimbursed for my hotels and food. I just wanted the medical expenses to be reimbursed. That's the part I was asking them to do. So after about 7 months of going back and forth, and I was getting fairly frustrated, I finally called and talked to a human being there and told them I've given them every bit of paper that I have. I explained all the expenses. I wrote down what everything cost in pesos and in dollars, and I gave them the dollar amount that I was wanting to be reimbursed for the receipts that I did have. And a couple weeks later, I got an email, and they agreed to pay for my medical expenses that I had asked for, which was more than $16,000. So it was a substantial amount of money that I had put out of pocket in cash on my own while I was traveling. I'll tell you, I went to a lot of ATM machines to get that kind of money. And so I was glad to get it reimbursed. I was frustrated with the whole process. I'm not really recommending or not recommending Allianz. I know they're one of the bigger companies, and there's a number of other travel insurance companies out there. I think my point is that I will not travel without medical insurance. I haven't for years, and I'm going to continue. What I learned, though, is that I'm going to pay a little more attention. There's many travel insurance companies out there that offer different plans, different levels of care, concierge service on some, which I didn't have, which would help with the language barrier. So I really encourage my viewers of my channel, especially if you're a senior citizen on Medicare, to travel with travel insurance and do a little research before you buy it. Don't be like me and just click on the box and buy whatever's being offered. Be sure it's going to meet your needs as a traveler. But if you don't have it, be prepared to just pay cash, probably in not just in Mexico, but probably in every other country that you travel as well, and then ask for reimbursement later. So anyhow, that is my story of my use of travel medical insurance. Didn't think I was ever going to use it, but I did. If you have a story, a short story you'd like to share, have an experience with travel medical insurance, put that down in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you found this short video useful. And if you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time on one of my senior moments.